All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today in our Central 70 briefing. So let's go to the next slide, Lucy. All right, so let's start off with some introductions. So we'll go through everybody who's on the call right now, just so we can know who's on. So I am Stacia Sellers. I am the CDOT Central 70 Communications Manager.
I'm Brenda Tierney. I'm with the Central 70 team.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Keith Stefanik. I'm the CDOT Central 70 Project Director.
I'm Lucy. I'm on the C70 team.
I am Gabby, and I am also on the Central 70 team.
I'm Molly Bly, and I am the CDOT Central 70 Workforce Liaison.
Matt Sandman, Public Information Manager for Kiewit Meridian Partners.
Hunter Sidner, Kiewit.
All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And just to go over format, we ask that you please stay on mute for the duration of the meeting. Please feel free to use the chat feature to ask any questions, and our moderator, Gabby, is going to go ahead and let the speakers know what questions you have, and then we'll open it up at the end too, and you can unmute then and ask some questions there. All right, so a project overview. So the Central 70 project is a $1.2 billion project. We started in the summer of 2018. So we will be adding one express lane in both directions between I-25 and Chambers Road. We will also be widening a section of I-70 between I-270 and Chambers Road. Majority of that work is already complete. And we will also be removing the I-70 viaduct. So the viaduct is that bridge that runs right next to Purina. So we will be removing that actually and lowering it and constructing a new 4-acre cover park over the interstate. So a lot of that work is already taking place now. And we'll show a video later on of what that looks like. And if you're joining us at 12:30 for a tour, you'll get to see a little bit more of what that future cover top is going to look like. Next slide, Lucy. So just showing a quick overview of what a future cover top is going to look like. The picture on the left for current shows I-70 in its current state today, or I should say before 2018. This looks a lot different right now. And then in the future, that's what the cover top is going to look like. And that's going to be adjacent to Swansea Elementary School right there. You can see that to the right side of I-70, and then I-70 will be lowered. So we've been making a lot of great progress on the Central 70 project over the past 2 years. So we have excavated about 1.2 million cubic yards of soil, and that's throughout the project. We've also constructed about 5,700 linear feet of new sidewalk. So we're installing sidewalk pretty much throughout the 10-mile stretch of I-70. So a lot of places that didn't have sidewalk before now have sidewalk, which is really great and something that a lot of community members asked for as part of this project. So we've completed 2 bridges as part of this project as well. A lot of the bridges along I-70 were listed as structurally deficient. So really that means we're doing a lot more maintenance repairs and it's just past its lifespan. So 2 of those bridges have already been completed. That would be on I-270 and Peoria. As most folks remember, we did the 2 full closures last year to build out that new I-270 flyover. We've also spent about 1,200 hours out in the community doing community outreach. So we want to make sure that all community members are as up to date as possible on the project. We've offered community office hours, which have now turned virtual. And this is a great way for community to talk with project directly to let us know if they have any questions or concerns about the project. And we've also attended various community meetings, R&O meetings. We really want to make sure that we're out there and hearing from the community as we're working through the project. We've also continued our partnership with Northeast Transportation Connections. So this is a transportation demand management agency. So really working to get vehicles off of I-70 and really promoting carpooling where we can, offering incentives to motorists if they are interested in carpooling. NETC also is offering RTD bus passes to residents so that they can use that instead of using vehicles on I-70, and also using community shuttles so folks can get around to doctor's appointments or wherever they need to go. It's been a really great program, and we're very proud that we've partnered with NETC through the project. We've also spent about 2 million man hours on the project over the past 2 years, and we're continuing to do construction even through COVID, especially since construction was considered essential. And we've placed about 173,000 tons of asphalt as part of this project as well. Next slide. All right, now we are going to have our project director, Keith Stefanik, go over a drone flyover so you can get a nice aerial picture of all the great progress we've been making on the project so far.
All right, thank you, Stacia. Once again, my name is Keith Stefanik. I am the CDOT's Central 70 project director. So I'm going to have Lucy start walking through this video here. We update this about once a week. It gives a great overview of the progress on the project. So we'll stop at a few key critical spots and explain a little bit of what we're doing out here on the project. So our first stop will be right up here. I'd say right about, keep going a little bit, Lucy, right about here. This is what we're viewing here is we're viewing I-70 from a drone just on the north side of the highway pointing east. So to give you a little bit of reference, you can see the Union Pacific Railroad in the background, Brighton Boulevard in the foreground, and then Purina just on the right side of the Interstate I-70. So right here at Brighton Boulevard is really where the lowered section begins on this project. So today, I-70 is up on a viaduct. In the future, it'll be removed from the viaduct and placed into what we call the lowered section. So the viaduct will still remain from approximately Washington Street to Brighton Boulevard. And then right as you transition onto Brighton, will begin your transition down into what we call the lowered section. And why we call it the lowered section is today I-70 goes over top of the railroad. In the future, I-70 is going to go underneath the railroad and then continue to be underneath the ground, very similar to I-25 down in the narrow section around Wash Park and Denver University. So we'll continue the lowered section down through there, and then right around Colorado Boulevard is where the lowered section ends. It comes back up onto pretty much its original alignment. So on this picture here, you can really see, if you take a look on the left side of the screen, or left side of I-70, you can see where we're starting to build the abutment for the transition of I-70 down into the lowered section. So you can start seeing that taking shape. We have done a lot of work on Brighton over the past several years. We have opened Brighton Boulevard back into its final configuration, northbound and southbound, and we're starting to build the bridge structure over top of I-70. So you can continue, Lucy. The next stop we'll do here is right at the Union Pacific Railroad. So I'd say right about here, Lucy. So the Union Pacific Railroad, this is the critical path from a schedule perspective of the project. So this is a huge undertaking to take I-70 from over top of the Union Pacific Railroad and underneath the Union Pacific Railroad. So we are currently building the Union Pacific Railroad Bridge in phases. Right now, we're building the west half of the bridge. You can see in the background there, or the foreground, there's some girders sitting, some steel girders sitting adjacent to the cranes. We're in the process of setting those girders on the substructure of the new bridge, which will allow us to take the rail lines that are currently what we call shoe-flied around the construction area on temporary configurations, and put those lines on the bridge, which will allow us to construct the eastern portion of the bridge and put those trains in their final service. So this is a lot of work going on underneath the viaduct right now. You can't see a lot of this work when you're traveling on I-70 because you're shielded with the barriers that along I-70. So a lot of people don't see a lot of the great progress that's being made. The community sees it from the community perspective, but the commuters really can't see the progress from I-70 with those barriers adjacent to the north side of I-70. So we'll continue going on here. Right about here, you can see a lot of infrastructure that is in the ground. You can see a circular fixture infrastructure over there. That is the pump station for the lowered section. So all of the rainwater, everything that comes down from the sky down onto the ground is basically collected in storm drain systems, and then it's outletted into this pump station. It is pumped up by a series of pumps and then outletted into a water quality pond, which eventually leads to an existing sanitary sewer that heads up north into the Platte River. So that is a key component of our project. We're making great progress there. If you keep going, you can see one of our first bridges right here. This is Josephine Street. We'll get back there in a second. Right there, Lucy. Just hold on one second. We're having a little bit of an issue. All right, so right here at Josephine Street. All right, let's stop. This is good, Lucy. So in the foreground, you can see here, you can see the road that goes over. That is York Street, and then the background is Josephine Street. We're getting very close to finishing the Josephine Street Bridge and opening that back up to traffic. We have a series of north-south closures throughout the community. We do that in a very systematic way to make sure that we have local street access to the community while we're constructing this project. So you can continue going, Lucy. We'll stop right a little bit here at the cover. So this is one of the key components to the Central 70 project. So you can really see a lot of the progress that we've made here. On the left-hand side of the screen is the Swansea Elementary School. So the cover will be adjacent to the Swansea Elementary School and provide an outdoor activity area for the school, as well as a shared space for the community. So the 4-acre park is starting to take shape over the highway. What you see here on here is you can really see the deck, what we call the deck of the cover area, begin to take shape. You can see the concrete, and then you can see some of the green rebar. So we do a series of concrete pours for the deck. What this form here is, this is the future westbound lanes of I-70. So the cover, underneath the cover, if you want to call it a cover or a tunnel, that will be wide enough for all the future lanes. So it'll be 3 general purpose lanes, 2 toll express lanes. We'll be opening 1 initially, but large enough for added capacity in the future. And then what that width does for us is that allows us to have enough space underneath that bore in order to transfer what you see, the 6 lanes of I-70 traffic today, 3 in each direction. Once we get this north or the westbound bore complete, we'll take those 6 lanes and we'll place them down into the lowered section There'll be barrier separated, but they'll be within that portion of the cover or tunnel that you see now. So that is the main traffic phasing operation that will take place. So we'll continue flying through here. The next area that I'm going to stop at is the Steele Vasquez interchange. This is one of the key interchanges for the project. Continue to go, Lucy. Let's stop right here. So you can see today we put Steele Street in a temporary location. We moved it, shifted it over to the west in order to build the new bridge. So you can see the new bridge taking shape on the Steele Vasquez interchange. We will eventually transfer traffic onto that bridge, and that will be in the final alignment. But that is a huge accomplishment and operational traffic operation perspective for Steele Vasquez. So that'll be a big accomplishment happening later this year. As you can see here, we're just going to stop real quick, Lucy. I forgot to mention. We'll be talking a little bit about this off ramp. So you see this is the westbound Steele exit ramp. We'll be talking a little bit about that closure leading up to this weekend and how that traffic will be phased. So that'll be a big milestone for the project also. As you can continue on here, the next set of bridges we'll stop at, and this is also key to the project. So these two bridges here, the first one, the Steele Bridge, is a railroad bridge. It's the Burlington Northern, so BNSF. That still serves two businesses to the south side of I-70. That train will be in service in about I'd say approximately 30 to 45 days. We had approximately 10 months to shut that rail service down and build that bridge, so we are on schedule. In the background, you see Monroe Street Bridge. This is a new connection from the south to the north over I-70. Monroe Street will provide access down to the businesses on the south side of I-70. So it replaces an old little street called Jackson Street. So great progress there, and that has been open to traffic for about 2 months. So we'll continue. And we'll stop at Colorado Bridge. This is where the majority of the work this weekend is going to take place. So we'll stop right about here. So you can see in the foreground the new portion of the new bridge. So this bridge is being built in phases, in 2 phases. So we built the west half first while traffic was on the existing bridge. This weekend we're going to take southbound Colorado and transition it onto the new bridge, which will allow us to demolish the remaining portion or the half of the existing Colorado Bridge. So northbound Colorado will stay on the far east half, and they'll take that middle bridge down this weekend. That's one of the main reasons for the weekend closure, is to get that bridge safely down while traffic is not on I-70. So this Colorado Boulevard interchange is one of our highest volume north-south roads across I-70. So big accomplishment here to get some of the southbound traffic transferred onto the new bridge. So we'll continue. And right through here is good to note that this is where the lowered section really ends. So as we transition up through here, we really get on the existing alignment and the existing grade of I-70. And through here, this is what we call the center segment. So we're just going to pause. We'll pause up here on Dahlia Street just to give you a little bit of information. Right here, Lucy. That'll be good. So what you see taking shape here, this is pretty much representative of the entire center segment, the center segment being Colorado, Quebec. And what you see here is you see I-70 in its current alignment, so 3 lanes in each direction, and a lot of construction occurring on both the north and the south side of I-70. This acts as almost a collector distributor road through this section. So you have Stapleton Drive south on the south side of I-70 and Stapleton Drive north on the north side. And they're one way in each direction. We are reconstructing those streets as part of this project. So basically building the outside first, we are in the process of transferring that traffic to the new lanes on the outside, which will allow the contractor to build to widen I-70, as you can see, starting to take shape through here. So it's really a sequential project here. Going through is basically building Stapleton Drive north and south to the outside, and then putting traffic out there, and then really enabling us to widen I-70 through this section. So you can start seeing some of the bridges take shape through here. So this is the first of 3 bridges in this section. This is Dahlia Street. So we'll continue on. You can continue going through here. So you can really start seeing a lot of the work take shape. We added a new entrance ramp to the westbound I-70 here a few weeks ago. This is the Holly Street entrance ramp. So Holly Street will act as a single interchange, which removes some of the substandard slip ramps that we're out here in the future. So we just flew over Holly Street, which is great progress for us, getting those bridges phased in. So you can really start seeing a lot of the area take shape as we continue through here. The next area we're going to stop at will be Monaco Street right here. So this is the last of the 3 bridges through this segment, the north-south connections through the center segment. So making great progress on these bridges as well. The big item here is to get those bridges constructed on the outside so we can transfer I-70 traffic to the outside while we build the inside structures of that. Very similar to what we did out east around Peoria Street if you were driving out there over the past year to year and a half. So continue going, Lucy. All right, the final 2 stops in the center segment. The first one will be here at Denver Rock Island. So this is the 3rd railroad on our project. So the first one was Union Pacific Railroad. The second one was Burlington Northern, BNSF. And the third one is Denver Rock Island. So we are in process of building the structures that will carry I-70 over the Denver Rock Island here, making great progress. We're going to set some of the girders on the north half this weekend during the weekend closure. So not only are we accomplishing the bridge demo at Colorado, we're also going to be setting girders here at the north side of the Denver Rock Island, and then also doing some other minor work throughout I-70 and utility work for overhead utilities. So continue going. The last place we're going to stop here in the center segment is Quebec Street. So Quebec Street, if you stop right here, this is again a major north-south local street connection underneath I-70. We are in the process of replacing this bridge right now, so you can see the girders being set on both the north and south side of I-70. Again, the phasing will be to get those 2 sections of the bridges completed, transfer traffic onto those, demo the existing bridge that traffic is currently on, and then build out that center segment of the bridge. So a lot of work ongoing here at Quebec Street, and a lot of work in the next several months for Quebec Street proper. Coming over beginning this summer and extending into next year. And then the last segment on the project, a lot of the segment that doesn't get a lot of the publicity or notoriety is the east side segment here. So if you continue going, Lucy, the east segment, this is what Stacia alluded to is widening. This is just a widening to get one tolled express lane from the Sand Creek Bridge, which we're flying over now, out east. So if you stop right here, Lucy, this is the I-270 bridge. This is one of the bridges that Stacia mentioned that was completed. So this was a structurally deficient bridge that was completed in open traffic earlier this year. So a great accomplishment for the project here with the I-270 direct connect to eastbound I-70. So if you continue going, the east segment work, it's about a 5-mile segment of the project. It was substantially complete in December of 2019, and then we had some minor work to do out at Peoria Street, and then also to place the final lift of asphalt, which is currently undergoing here at nighttime activities. So not a lot of construction during the day out here, some minor shoulder closures here and there, but a lot of work going on at night to place that final lift of asphalt. We project that final lift of asphalt will be done around the mid to late July. This was one of the areas that we were able to accelerate asphalt paving in during the COVID-19 pandemic. What that allowed us to is to take some lane closures during the day with the lower traffic volumes and get that asphalt started while we had temperatures during the day instead of waiting to have the temperatures during the night. So as we fly through here, this really just shows a lot of the work that was accomplished in the east segment over the past year and a half to 2 years. So the only really remaining work that we have in the east segment will be as we fly past here. This is Havana Street through here. We'll get to Peoria, then I'll show you the area where we have some of our remaining work. Lucy, once we get to Peoria Street, I'll have you stop once you get a good view of Peoria Street proper. All right. So this is Peoria Street. So this was a bridge that we replaced, another structurally deficient bridge. It is in its final configuration. Underneath, you can see Peoria Street was widened out, and additional turn lanes and sidewalk was completed through here. So this work is once again is substantially complete. We have some vegetation establishment to do in this area, but this was a very big accomplishment for the east side to get traffic in its final configuration, have it travel a lot smoother out here in this east segment. So we'll continue to continue out to the end of the project here. So this is the area where we will have some of the remaining work this year. We are working with the contractor to get the tolled express lane extended through 225 out here out to Chambers Road. There's some median work. You'll see some concrete barriers set in the median. Traffic will pretty much remain in its existing configuration, but we will be replacing the median barrier and then also some of the concrete pavement through that section. So that is pretty much just the remaining work that we have on the east segment. So that is the overview of the project. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Keith. And we will be sending out the drone video as well as some additional materials for the project after the briefing. So you'll have access to that and can use that for any of your reports. So now I'm going to pass it over to Matt Sandman. He is our Public Information Manager for Hewitt Meridian Partners.
Awesome. Thank you. I just wanted to go over some upcoming closures that Keith alluded to some of these, and hopefully most of you guys are aware of the full weekend closure of I-70. So from Steele to I-270, just for that partial demolition of Colorado Boulevard, along with a handful of different items that we're going to accomplish within that closure area. So starting Friday night, June 26th, and then opened up by rush hour Monday morning, the 29th. Tied to this, and Keith also alluded to the closure of the westbound I-70 off-ramp to Steele. This will begin this Friday night when the full closure goes into place. This is a permanent alignment change as part of this project. So I have a map here in a second showing what that will look like for access to Steele, basically using Colorado, but that off-ramp does go away permanently. Columbine and Clayton Streets, we still have some work to do on those bookends of the 4-acre park. So between 46th and 47th, we'll have those closed mid-July with local access maintained. And then York Street between 46th and 47th, that'll close in August of this year to build that new bridge similar to Josephine, and will be open by spring of next year. So just a detour map. Hopefully you guys have all seen this for the full closure, really utilizing 270 to 76 to I-25 to access this area. Business access will be maintained within the center segment using Colorado and Quebec streets to get to Stapleton Drive north and south. And then for that ramp that we spoke of, really for westbound traffic trying to get to Steele Vasquez, you'll exit now at Colorado, Temporarily, you'll have to make a left at that traffic signal and then a right onto our new 46th Avenue North. And that'll get you along that frontage road, get you down to Steele Vasquez. Really with that, those turn movements in the final configuration will straighten out. And I got a rendering showing that here in a slide or two. So here's what that would look like. So in the final configuration, Stapleton Drive North connecting to new 46th Avenue North. So you'll get off at Colorado, you'll run directly straight through the intersection to get to 46th Avenue North, vice versa, heading east, 46th Avenue South in a one-way direction will get you through the Colorado interchange to connect to Stapleton Drive South. And then shown here at Steele Vasquez and really, similar to T-Rex on I-25 at Broadway in the Narrows, but with the frontage roads, just a good visualization of what those frontage roads look like. Eastbound and westbound split between 46th Avenue North and 46th Avenue South. Summer openings, just some things to take note of. The new 46th Avenue North between Colorado and Steele. As I mentioned, that'll be opened by the 29th. So that'll be the new access to Steele, utilizing that frontage road. Josephine and Fillmore Street bridges, those have been under construction for the past few months. Fillmore scheduled to open on the 30th and Josephine scheduled to open mid-July. So again, that's building those bridge structures in their entirety to go over the highway in the final configuration. Completion of intersections at Dahlia and Monaco Street at Stapleton Drive North and South, scheduled to open this fall 2020. Really getting those bridges built in their entirety, like Keith mentioned, building the new widenings to the north and south will flip traffic onto those, remove and replace the center structure, really with a fall fall in our schedule to get those fully operational. And then final pavement placed from Quebec to Chambers Road. A lot of progress being made at night, really showing getting all that final surface completed by July, mid-July of this year. So about another month of that.
Hey, Matt, can I just jump in real quick? We had a question come through from Jason Luber. He said, I noticed the east side is not striped for the express lane. Will this happen when the final paving is complete? Do you mind answering that?
I might turn that over to Keith.
Yeah, I can answer that question, Matt. Jason, so the tolled express lane that will be out in the east segment will not be operational until the entire tolled express lane from basically Washington Street out to Chambers Road is operational. So it'll be striped. It'll be striped as a wide shoulder for the next several years. We don't want to add that capacity and basically create a bottleneck back out there without the proper operational activities of a toll express lane. So that toll express lane will not be coming online until we are ready to start testing on the entire segment of the toll express lane.
Okay, because I remember a while back you were talking about maybe even opening that lane to go east, just because, well, it can just spill out a lot of extra traffic out that way, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case.
No, we took a look at that, and we think that that opening it up and then the weave that'll occur without some of the regulated traffic from the express lane could create operational issues out when you get out to Pena. Now, with some of the reduced volumes that we've seen during COVID, we don't see a lot of the airport traffic. We're starting to see that pick back up, but we're thinking right now it's best to keep that as a wide shoulder. But nothing that doesn't say we can't look into that over the next several years as we're starting to phase these express lanes in.
And one other quick one is we're talking about that east side on that transition going from eastbound 270 to eastbound I-70. At one point, there was talk about adding the bridge, an express lane on that bridge to transition traffic from eastbound 270 when eventually it has a widening express lane to go east on I-70. It looks like it's just 2 lanes still on that bridge Has that design then changed?
No, so that bridge, when and if, and we're starting to study, CDOT's starting to kick off the environmental assessment process for 270. Once we get through that process, this bridge was constructed to not preclude the future tolled express lane. So it would be a separate structure that came over and took the eastbound 270 down in the eastbound I-70 future toll express lane. That would on I-70, that is really the second phase of what we call the I-70 East project. So the I-70, if you remember, the I-70 East final environmental impact statement basically reconstructed I-70 from I-25 out to Tower Road. Right. Central 70 is the first phase of that record of decision that we have for that. So if we were to add a second tolled express lane from Quebec out to Chambers Road, that would be with a future project. But we would definitely take a look at that time as either the second half of the project, phase 2, which we would call it the I-70 East phase 2, or some of the improvements with the 270. But that flyover bridge is built in a position that not preclude a separate structure coming down over top and bringing traffic down into eastbound I-70.
No, that makes sense. Thanks, Keith.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Matt and Keith. All right, so we are going to show a progress video. So kind of gives you a snapshot of all the great work that's been happening on the project. Some of this footage was taken prior to COVID as well as during COVID. We just thought this would be great for the public to kind of get a nice view of what's been happening with the project so far.
So where I'm standing today is the lowered section of the Central 70 project. To the left side of me, you'll see the north abutment of the future cover. And then on the right side of me, you'll see the center pier that separates the future eastbound and westbound traffic. So right above me will be a cover. It'll be a 4-acre park connecting the communities and connecting Swansea Elementary School. So right behind me, you can see the Columbine Street Bridge. That was constructed in the summer of 2019 along with the Clayton Bridge. And what those two bridges are, those are the bookends of the future cover, the 4-acre park over the interstate. Today, you can see up above me is the viaduct. That's about 25 to 30 feet above the existing ground. Where we're standing right now is 30 feet below the existing ground. So it's a dramatic change from where the viaduct is today, the traffic, down to the lowered section where they'll be in the future. This is the westbound bore, the north bore, where the future westbound lanes will be. Today, we have the 6 lanes of traffic up on the viaduct, 3 lanes in each direction. This westbound bore is being constructed wide enough for 3 general purpose lanes in the future, 2 tolled express lanes. Once this lowered section is built, we'll take all 6 lanes from the viaduct, put them down in the future westbound lanes. We'll get the traffic down here so we can safely remove the viaduct. All of the roads that we reconstruct will have sidewalk component to it. Much improved connectivity than we had before we undertook this project. So one of the unique elements to the Central 70 project is the amount of utility relocations. We have hundreds of utility relocations that are necessary for the project. These utilities are relocated not only in the I-70 footprint, but 46th Avenue, Stapleton Drive North, and a lot of the local streets that connect under or over I-70. Majority of the work in the east segment of the project between Quebec Street and Chambers Road was completed in 2019. This included rebuilding the I-270 flyover bridge, widening Peoria under I-70, widening and replacing the I-70 bridge at Peoria Street, restriping, and installing new overhead signs in ITS, which will provide an early warning for lane closures or traffic impacts to the traveling public. The remainder of the work in this section, which includes the top mat of paving, will be completed by mid-2020. We also have made progress on rebuilding interchanges along I-70 at Steele Vasquez, Colorado Boulevard, Brighton Boulevard, and Quebec Street. This work includes new on and off ramps and building new bridges at I-70.
As you can see behind me here, we have the pump station that will actually take care of all the drainage for the lowered section of the roadway. It's able to handle roughly the 100-year storm event. It'll take all that drainage, it'll pump it up to a location and send it out to the South Platte River. So the second benefit of it is during an accident or a fire, It will be able to handle the excess flow from that, separate that from the normal drainage into a separate chamber. And at that point, it will make sure that if it is contaminated, it could be hauled off site to another location. The construction of the pump station will be completed in the early of 2021.
Between Colorado and Quebec, Stapleton Drive is moving to the north and south, and the current slopes between Stapleton Drive and I-70 are being replaced with retaining walls, all to fit the newly widened highway. Currently, the Union Pacific Railroad tracks just west of Purina run underneath I-70 and over 46th Avenue. The railroad bridge is being lengthened to span both the lower section of I-70 as well as 46th Avenue. Since the trains can't be taken out of service, a temporary bridge or shoe fly was built to support the trains during the construction of the new bridge.
Central 70 is more than just a reconstruction of I-70. It's really about building relationships with those who live along this corridor. So there's about 1,200 businesses along this 10-mile stretch of I-70. We also have plenty of residents in this area as well. So we're really doing all that we can to make sure that we are doing outreach to these communities and to these businesses so that we're maintaining good relationships. Over 2019, we spent over 900 hours in the community doing community office hours, which you can find on our website, going to different rec centers, libraries, going to Swansea Elementary School, really making sure that we are reaching the community where they are. And as for the businesses, we make sure that we're going door to door, making personal phone calls, or sending out emails to let them know about what construction impacts they can expect so that they can plan ahead for that. So we have a dedicated bilingual community liaison who's going to be the one that's out on those community office hours. So she's available to speak to anybody who has any questions or concerns. We want to make sure all of our information is easily accessible to anybody who wants to know. So we have an English Facebook page. We also have a Spanish Facebook page. All of our products or collateral that we send out, so flyers or postcards, we always make sure that those are translated to Spanish. So again, everybody is aware of what's coming up. We are also committed to making sure that we are leaving a positive mark on the communities, and we've spent over 300 volunteer hours in 2019.
Although we want to deliver this project on time, on budget, we never want to sacrifice safety or quality. From the Central 70 team, we want to thank the commuters and the community for the attention that they focus while they're out here in this construction area. We have over 500 craft workers out here on any single day. We want to make sure that those craft workers get home to their families. Please keep in mind dedicated driving, and let's get our workers home safely on a daily basis.
Great. Thank you, Lucy. All right, so now we're going to open it up to some polling questions. So a separate window should pop up onto your computer screens. We just want to understand where you're getting your information from and ways that we can support the media and to get out to the public. We also want to open this up to any questions that you might have as well, since we're reaching that halfway point of the briefing. And you can either chat or come off of mute for that.
Stacia, are you able to see those results on your screen there?
I am not.
Okay. Perfect. I'll share them. So it looks like preferred method was press releases with about 50%, and the next was social media at about 38%. And then last was the project email blast. So thank you guys for participating in that one.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate it. We do have one question from Ed, and I will toss that over to Keith. Ed asked, so just to clarify, when do you expect the express tolling to open?
Thanks for your question. Right now, we're projecting the Toll Express lane to open up towards the end of 2022.
Hey, Keith. It's Jason. What has been your biggest challenge so far that you didn't expect to be a challenge when you started the project?
Oh, wow. Nice question. I would say probably the most unexpected challenge that we have faced would be the COVID-19 pandemic. It really, when that hit late February, early March, it really started an analysis of what we needed to do, how to keep the project moving. I think the governor came out and basically definitely wanted transportation in particular to be essential and continue moving. So we had to work, CDOT had to work very closely with the governor's office and as also our partner, Kiewit Meridian Partners, to understand how we needed to adapt to this situation. Kiewit Meridian Partners has been a great leader in the safety precautions related to COVID on transportation and construction projects. So really set the bar for a lot of industry to continue the essential status and move forward. So we really had to adapt to a lot of that over the past 3-4 months to make sure that we were in line with all of the executive orders, make sure that the subcontractors and the contractors on the project can still have the available manpower or workforce, and then also the supplies. Keeping the supply chain to the project is essential to keeping up on construction schedules. So that was a big undertaking for us. We had to adapt. We had to really start administering the project from a virtual area from a management perspective, and then also make sure that our craft workers on the ground had enough safety precautions and were enough of the personal protection equipment to continue working and complete the project. That was probably the most unexpected challenge.
But at the same time, I'm sure it was a benefit when traffic evaporated. It allowed you to do some daytime work and work around the clock safer because there wasn't as much traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the two biggest areas that we were able to do is out east, doing asphalt paving during the day. Anything that we can do during the day is always safer than night. We're more visible to the drivers and to the commuters out on the roadway. We were also able to transition a lot of the drainage work, underground drainage installation along Colorado Boulevard with some of the reduced laneage, Steele, Vasquez. We shut down Brighton eastbound on-ramp for about almost a month and was able to build out a large portion of that. So even though that work is not on what we would deem the critical path of the project, we were able to phase it easier, get a lot more work accomplished so that we could really focus on the areas that we need to get done to complete this project.
Thanks, Keith.
Great. Now we want to open it up to all of you to see how we can help keep you updated about the project. I know there is a lot going on with news lately, but if there's any way that we can help support you, we are all ears for that. We also have some of our communications managers on as well. So any way that we can help with just this project or CDOT as well. And you can leave your responses in chat or you can come off of mute.
Stacia, hey, this is Keith. I want to take this opportunity to make a plug for our website. I really do believe our website is one of the most useful resources for information, especially the webcam. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of it, but there is a 24/7 webcam installed up on top of the Purina Tower that overlooks the construction of the cover. So I would throw that out as a very useful link to see the progress in the cover area of the lower section.
Thanks, Keith. All right. Let's move on to the next slide, Lucy. All right, so now we want to touch on a bit about what we are doing in the community. So we are going to start off with our workforce opportunities, and I'm going to hand it over to Molly Bly.
Thank you, Stacia. So I'm just going to do a quick high-level overview of where we're at with our workforce goals. This project, as most of you probably know, is unique to CDOT in that we do have a goal to hire locally. So far, at the end of April, we actually have had over 500 local individuals working. They're trending very well. Kiewit and the lower tier subcontractors are trending very well on local hire. You can see on this slide, there's a heat map. So we're seeing where a lot of those folks are coming from. We've had very high engagement in Montbello. I would say that the Montbello area was one of the first to really get involved with Work Now, which I'll talk about in a second. So you can see that we're mostly pretty even, and then we're working to recruit more from some of those zip codes that we're seeing lower recruitment from. So we're always working to improve that and engage more fully with our workforce partners. We had opened a training center on one of our parcels that we had for the project. It opened in July of 2017. And it had always been the plan that that training center would be temporary. So it did close at the beginning of 2020. And we wanted to share some of the exciting statistics that came out of that, really a pilot, a new idea that Denver hadn't done before. So we had over 1,700 individuals participating in training. It was over multiple different training partners, different types of training, entry level and upskilling, as well as coaching services and some networking events for folks who are looking to start their own construction company. So really an exciting opportunity that we had to use that parcel for training. Another temporary training center has opened. So the training center closing didn't end those efforts by any means. The new temporary center is off of Washington Street and Chestnut Place. And it is still a partnership through Work Now. So I always like to encourage people to check out Work Now if they haven't. The website and phone number are both here. They have all sorts of career coaching, PPE support, and work clothing support, as well as training. And Keith already touched on COVID and how that has impacted the efforts. But I would say that training is obviously an area that was impacted by that as well. But at this point, most training partners have gone back to socially distanced teaching or virtual. So right now it's a good time for people, if they're looking to switch industries, to get into training. And that is a good segue into our next slide. Lucy, if you could show us that. So we did have a hiring fair. Our project, quite a few of our contractors are still hiring. We had over 100 RSVPs for the event. We had consistently about 50 people viewing, coming and going throughout the presentation itself while it was live. And we now have over 1,400 views on Facebook. So obviously a lot of interest in people looking for jobs. The construction industry has seen a slowdown. So going back to Work Now is a great partner for training. We're encouraging people, if they're looking at switching industries or they're looking for employment, definitely go look at our hiring fair information, check that out. And then also if they're just interested in it, but they're not sure if it's really what they want to do yet, check out training, because there's no better time than now to get into that training and look at what that might mean for a future career.
Great. Thank you so much, Molly. And again, if you have any questions for her, please feel free to pop that into the chat. So I touched on this a little earlier about our community office hours. And so we have switched that to being virtual. So we are meeting with community over Zoom. So we are meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that is with our bilingual community liaison, Yvonne. We also want to make sure that we are emphasizing summer safety. We work with the Swansea Elementary School quite often, and so some of their feedback for us was, is there a way that we can talk with residents or commuters and along I-70 and on the local roads on, making sure that you're maintaining slower speeds, making sure that you're stopping at stop signs and really obeying traffic laws, especially as more kids are going to be out playing. So we have launched the summer break campaign. So this will not only be for the local residents, but also for I-70 as well. As we start to ramp up more summer construction activities, we want to make sure people are also cognizant of our work zones and making sure that they are driving safe near our workers. I know all of you know how important work zone safety is to us. So we hope that summer break can be a unique way to connect with the public on how on tips on how to be safer, both while driving on local roads and on I-70. So more to come with that. I'm sure you will see our summer break logo pop up throughout the summer. In April of 2020, we conducted our annual public opinion survey. So we do this every April. And this April, we actually had about 600 participants take part in our survey. This is the most participation we've received on one of our public surveys. And that's likely due to more people being at home and more people available to chat with us over the phone. So it was a random lottery of phone numbers of folks who live adjacent to I-70. So those who live in GES, Montbello, any communities that live right along I-70, and as well as polling folks who drive on I-70 for work or even just for recreational purposes, like going to the airport. So with that, this was a statistically valid survey, and this really gives us a glimpse on how well our communications are operating as well, and also seeing how impactful our project really is to commuters and residents. All right, so awareness of the project has increased steadily, and we want to thank our media partners for that, as well as I know you're communicating some upcoming traffic impacts. I think that's really getting in the eyes and ears of the public, so they are aware of any construction activities. So more folks are starting to become very familiar. We still have, a few more years left of the project, so we hope to make sure that everybody is very aware of our project. And throughout the years, we've started doing this public survey in about 2017, 2018. So throughout the years, we've noticed that public perception of the project has actually improved. So about 62% of users view the project positively, which is great news for us. Likely means that there is less traffic impacts and more people understand the benefits of the project. And we also saw a pretty significant increase in very positive perceptions of the project with residents. So in 2019, it was about 28% had a very positive view, and now 35% in 2020 have a very positive view. And in 2019, we actually saw 20% had a negative view as compared to 12% having a negative view of the project in 2020, which that is a dramatic drop. So again, I think that really goes into our communications as well as having not as great of an impact as folks originally thought the project would have. Next slide. All right, so again, tapping into the perception of construction. So in 2019, 72% of folks reported experiencing slower traffic compared to 61% in 2020. So again, as projects moved along, as we've had more significant closures, I think folks are realizing that how we're scheduling those closures really isn't having a great impact on traffic. For residents in 2019, 72% experienced lower traffic compared to 51% in 2020. So, we're having a little bit more impact in the community by closing local roads, but I think we have some viable detour routes set up as well. So this is great news for the project. And again, respondents were less likely to believe the project would actually have a significant impact on them compared to 2019. We also wanted to make sure we were understanding where folks were getting their information because we want to continue communicating with them so that they understand what the project is and some upcoming impacts of the project. So overall, folks were interested in receiving their information through television news as well as through articles, and residents were more interested in receiving more direct types of communication. So word of mouth, which is great since we are going out into the community. So we're connecting with residents on a more personal basis. And so I think our communications are in line with what folks want to receive. Some of our construction information tools. So again, sending out those weekly e-blasts. I know a lot of you are already signed up for that. If not, our link on the next page will show you how you can sign up for that. So our e-blasts go out every Friday to show what upcoming traffic impacts to expect. Keith already mentioned our website. That's available in both English and Spanish and has everything that you would really want to know about the project on there. We also have our English and Spanish Facebook pages that has all of our traffic impact information. We're really trying to show more behind the scenes of construction as well on our Facebook page. We're still utilizing our text alerts, so folks can sign up for that to get information about our most major closures, so they won't get spammed with some of our lesser known or our less impactful closures. So that's a great tool for folks to get that directly to their phone. And of course, doing these media briefings, I think, is a huge help to getting out to those commuters and community. And as for our community, we're still trying to find unique ways to get in touch. Of course, now with COVID, trying to reach folks on a more virtual basis. We're still doing door-to-door flyers when we have those local street closures. And we're still working with businesses and emailing them. Matt and his team with KUSA do a really great job of connecting with them on a regular basis to make sure all businesses are informed of any access impacts that they might have and some upcoming closures. And we're still conducting our Chips and Chat and Coffee and Chat meetings. Those have moved virtual. And so we are walking through that aerial video that Keith walked through earlier. And I think that's a really great way for folks to see progress and know what to expect in the future. And then, of course, cotrip.org is a great tool for both commuters and community, and cotrip feeds not only information for road closures related to our project, but that's also a great statewide resource, which I know a lot of you also push that out to your viewers. So we thank you for that. So know before you go, our website is c70.codot.gov. Again, you can access that webcam that Keith was talking about. We also have our email that's available for the public to reach out to us whenever they have any questions or concerns. We also have a 24-hour hotline number, 833-C70-INFO, that folks can call if they have any questions about construction. They can also call if they're noticing any noise impacts at night. That is always available for all folks. And then to sign up for our text alerts, folks can text Central 70 to 77948. And then below is links to our Facebook page. And I think almost all of you are following our Twitter page. So that has information, especially with the hashtag Central 78 project, about our project, as well as statewide news. All right, so with that, we are going to wrap up our media briefing and we will open it up to questions. I also want to remind you that we are doing a tour of the lowered section at 12:30. I know some of you have signed up for that. If not, please take a look at that press release that I sent out and it has a link for that. Or else you can just chat us or tell us that you're going to be there, and we can provide information if you're interested in that. So that will be at 12:30. Please remember, if you are going, to wear closed-toed shoes, long pants, and a face mask.
So Stacia, we had one question from Ed, and it says, where do the legal challenges against the project stand now? Are any still active, and how do they affect your work?
I can take that question. Again, this is Keith Stefanik, Central 70 Project Director. All legal challenges against the project have been resolved, so there are no ongoing legal challenges on the project.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Connor with CBS4. A few weeks ago, there was a petition going around from some of the people in nearby neighborhoods, and you had mentioned that one of the challenges for your project has been the pandemic and COVID-19, and there had been some ongoing concerns about increased exposure to some of the dust and stuff coming up from the ground with people being stuck at home more and closer to the project than normal. Have you guys been able to touch base with some of these community groups and find any kind of resolution?
I believe the petition that you're mentioning was sent to the governor's office. I think our governor's office has issued a response to that with continuing the project. We have read the concerns from, I would say, from the petitioners or the citizens. We have reminded them and increased our awareness of any of the dust control, any of the issues. So with the record of decision and also with the prior lawsuit settlement agreement, we were obligated to install 4 air monitors throughout the project for dust control. We send several water trucks out on a daily basis to use as dust suppressant against any of the exposed dirt. So yes, we have heard them. We have made some adjustments to our project. We continue to believe that we are meeting all the requirements that we are required to do. We understand their concern, and we are addressing it on a daily basis.
Hey, this is Ed Seelover with the Denver Business Journal. I'll just chime in live this time. I appreciate the kind of explanation of how COVID affected you. Did that raise costs or extend the timeline at all? And as a follow-up, are there any other potential obstacles you see? And clearly, you didn't see that one when you started in 2018. But are there any other potential obstacles you see getting in the way of completing this on time by late 2022?
Thanks, Ed, for the question. Unexpected COVID pandemic, yes. Did it increase costs? It did not. We have not seen an increased cost of the project to date. Did it increase our schedule? We have no direct schedule implications due to COVID-19. It allowed us to accelerate some work, but again, that work wasn't on your critical path or the critical schedule path of the project. As for foregoing unexpected issues, every major project, any project from a household remodel to this wonderful transportation project that we're undertaking here always has its challenges. On a daily basis, we're always faced with something that is occurring on this project. I would say, minus the COVID-19 pandemic, all of the issues on the project have been expected. We knew what we were entering when we undertook this project. We are managing all of the risks on this project to the best of our ability. There are a few setbacks that we had on the project with getting some of the designs approvals, but our goal is to still finish this project in late 2022. Right now, on any project, there's always schedule fluctuations. We are pushed out a little bit outside of 2022 into 2023, but we have 2.5 years to make up that. We are working with all of our partners, all of our stakeholders, City and County of Denver, Union Pacific Railroad, all of the major players to find out ways to efficiently move this project back into 2022 and get this project accomplished. So it's definitely not out of our sights. We have a great partner here on the project, Kiewit Meridian Partners. We have wonderful staff from CDOT with our heads together, figuring this project out. So we're up for the challenge, and we definitely want to get this project completed for the community and commuters by the end of 2022.
Great. Do we have any other questions?
Hey there, Connor McHugh again. With the permanent closure of the westbound off-ramp upcoming, what would be your best advice for how to maneuver it in the coming weeks and months for people in that area that are typically used to it? I know you kind of showed a graphic earlier, but what kind of description would you give someone in that area trying to get around?
You bet. Lucy, can you pan back to that graphic? So what, Connor, what we're doing is we have advanced messaging on our overhead signs that will be alerting motorists to this new traffic change. We pushed it out via social media, a big outreach effort. The biggest thing that we are trying to convey to the community and commuters are you can still get to Steele Vasquez easily with the elimination of this ramp. It was in our proposed improvements to eliminate this ramp all along. It is now just taking effect as we get into the development and construction of this project. So our big message is exit Colorado to get to Steele. You'll be able to go follow that blue line up on the screen very, very uniquely and get over to Steele Vasquez. Luckily, that westbound exit ramp is not is one of our highest volume movers. So it is a lower volume ramp that we receive, but it does have some truck traffic and stuff like that. So we definitely need to accommodate those movements, send them through. So luckily, the current detour, if you want to say in blue, is very short, very direct. So we just want to make sure that motorists exit westbound at Colorado and are able to follow the detour onto New 46 North Avenue. So in the future, Matt was showing a graphic of what the Colorado and Steele interchange will look like. In the future, you'll have a lot more direct exit ramp off of Colorado and then a kind of a straight through movement to Steele Vasquez. In this interim phase here, you're going to have to do a slight jog south on Colorado and then a right onto 46 North Avenue. I don't know, Stacia, Matt, you have anything to add on how message out to the commuters would be any better?
No, I think you covered most of it, and you have between text alerts and all of our other tools, trying to get this as possible. I think the message boards out on the actual roadway really help, but we see it on all these types of projects that maybe a week or two of confusion, but once a driver does it once, they figure out that new route, and like Keith said, once we get that alignment straightened out, it'll make more sense to drivers.
Yep, I agree. Great. Thank you. Any other questions?
Hey, sorry, this is Ed Sealover. I'll chime back in one more time, and I'm sorry if I missed this, probably in an earlier briefing, but what led to the decision to close the westbound Steele off-ramp? Why decide that should be closed permanently going forward?
So that was an area that we focused a lot during the preparation of the environmental impact statement, especially the final environmental impact statement. Taking a look at how close the Steele Street interchange, Steele Vasquez interchange, and Colorado Boulevard are, how close spaced they are together. Having full movements in those areas create a lot of issues with weaving on and off the highway at the entrance and exit ramps, or induces a lot of braided ramps. And with the way that the lowered section was designed, being the elevation difference between I-70 and the adjacent streets, made it very complicated to get all the movements in. Luckily, with 46th Avenue North and 46th Avenue South, that does allow for a pretty direct access through the from interchange to interchange, almost like a collector distributor road. So we really took a look at what the operations would do if you had full access movements or full interchanges at both of those locations. And it really couldn't support the degradation in traffic operations between the two interchanges to have that ramp in. So I indicated it was a lower volume ramp than some of the other ones. We were able to get traffic operations to work with some of the higher ramps at that location. So this was one that we believed it was a lot better for traffic operations to eliminate it and move forward with that. So it was something we looked into a lot of different configurations and worked a lot of hours with the city and county of Denver on their network as well. And we arrived that this was the best decision for the transportation project.
And is this the only off-ramp you're going to be closing for this project?
The only other ones that that will be closing were at York Street. So York Street was a kind of a half interchange. It was the westbound entrance ramp and an eastbound exit ramp. So that along with 46th Avenue that will now travel parallel to I-70 and then underneath the Union Pacific Railroad, the York Street ramps are removed with the project. We've already removed one approximately a year and a half ago. The eastbound ramp will stay operational until we remove the viaduct. And then the only other ramps that really would go away with this project are the slip ramps that we call them, that enter Stapleton North and Stapleton South Drive between Colorado and Quebec. Those are being removed and consolidated to a single interchange at Holly Street. So the operations to and from the interstate should work a lot better with a single access at Holly Street.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's a great question. All right, do we have any others? And if you do join us on the tour of the lowered section, Keith and I will both be available to do any in-person interviews as well, or we can stick around after this if you want to do a Zoom. But we hope to see most of you there. I know most of you are sending out a pool camera, so we will be on the lookout for them.
All right. Just to echo Stacia, I really appreciate everyone's time today. It's great to connect with the media and get the project information out. So I really appreciate the past hour and 20 minutes that you spent with us.
Yes. All right. So let me take a double look at our instructions. So if you are going to be joining us on the tour of the lowered section, make sure that you are meeting at our project trailer, which is 3543 East 46th Avenue. I think most of you have been out there, but make sure if you were traveling north on Steele to take a right into our project trailer. We have visitor parking spots, or you can just meet right in front of the trailer. We're going to have a escort from KUSA take everybody down into the lowered section, so you can get great footage there. Again, if you are joining us, please make sure you're wearing closed-toed shoes. Boots are preferred, long pants, and a face mask. If you do have a hard hat and a safety vest, please wear that. If not, we can provide one for you. And so again, if you have any questions, if you're having a hard time finding our project trailer, please go ahead and give me a call and I can hopefully help guide you through that. But we hope to see you all there. All right, and then if you have any other questions, of course, feel free to call or text me, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. All right, thank you everybody for joining us. Again, we really appreciate you taking your time out to learn some more about what we're up to.
Thank you, Stacia. Thank you, Keith.